Hello out there. So I'm looking forward to watching this clip. This is a video of Sarah Fontenot with her mother. And I first saw Sarah on Cam Newton's show. So I'm interested to see her perspective as she's talking to her mom and to learn her mother's perspective. So let's get into it.
That kind of guy, like you said, no filter.
Right.
I said, why are you lying to me?
Right.
He said, no, really, she's been there since yesterday and she won't leave. I said, I can't believe you're lying to me. If you lie to me, I'm gonna leave.
Right.
You don't have to lie to me. I'm your friend.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I'm not going anywhere because you have a girl at your place. Like you've had all these girls before. And he said, I want it in writing. And so I did. I put we had a contract that I would always be there, would always be his friend. Yeah. And then later, when we decided to become a couple, we wrote an addendum to the contract. And the addendum was that we really did love each other and we would stay in love. And if we ever got to a place where we were tolerating each other, we would be honest and leave.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of It's Giving. I am your host, Sarah Fontenot, and if you have not yet, please hit that little button below, get subscribed, hit that bell so you get a notification with each new piece of content. Now, today is a continuation, okay? Today is a blessing. Why? Because a very important woman is here with us today. I talk about her all the time on the podcast. I refer to the teachings that she's given me all the time on the podcast. Not only is she one of the most incredible people that I know personally, and I know a lot of really cool people. I look up to her more than anybody on the planet. She's also my mother. Can we please give it up for Miss Pamela on our podcast, y'all? How you feeling, Mom?
I'm fine.
Okay, so I already asked you, but I'm going to ask you again.
Okay.
If this season of your life were called It's Giving blank, and you had to fill in the blank, what would it be called? And you have to say It's Giving.
I already said it.
I know you got to come up with a new one. It's a new episode.
A new one.
We just didn't change clothes.
Well, it's giving happy.
Oh, break that down.
Well, I'm just happy to be here with all of these beautiful young people.
Well, that was easy. That was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, Mom. So we're going to jump right in. And if you guys are joining us live, please make sure to send this to 10 of your friends. Tell them to jump on. If you guys have questions, Anissa will be reading directly from the live tonight if you guys want to ask my mom some pretty awesome questions. But I'm going to go ahead and lead the questions. And I want to know, when you and Dad got together, did you think you were really going to be with him for life?
I didn't know him. And that's one of the problems with young people today. You see somebody and you say, that's going to be my guy. But you don't know that guy. You might meet him and think, oh my gosh, he's horrible.
Right.
So yeah, you have to take time. And it's so true, right? So I used to say, when you meet a guy, say no. For 6 months.
Don't be a hoe 6 months at a time is actually what she said.
But you know why?
Why?
Because in 6 months, you probably don't want to be with that guy anyway. And you've already said no to a point where you're not ready to say yes. So you kind of save yourself, right?
You preserve yourself and your body.
You do, yeah. So,
this is true.
No, I did not. Your dad and I were friends for 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us the story of the contract.
So your dad, you talk about don't be a hoe every 6 months.
Yeah.
Your dad was a hoe every day. Oh my God. That man, I love him, but I see, I'm speechless. You ask him when he comes on your podcast.
Absolutely.
How many women?
Ooh, I'm not gonna
all
ask
over
him
the world.
I'm not gonna ask
everywhere.
Okay.
He went everywhere. He traveled
outside.
all over. Yep. So anyway, he had about 8 girlfriends when I met him, and he said, "How do you feel about that?" I said, "I don't care, because I'm not a wannabe.
Right.
I don't want to be your girlfriend, you know." And I told him I'm not that kind. We can be friends, but I'm not looking for that. So you go and I have your fun. And so we were friends. Well, when he's, I want to say about a year in, I think he started to really like me. And he was afraid that I was going to leave because he was out there doing his thing. And I told him, oh, we found this out because we had gone out to a concert, and we went to a club, and we were having appetizers. And I asked him if he wanted me to go back to his place, if he wanted to go and we could listen to music, and he said no. There's a girl there and she won't leave.
Oh.
And now he's not that kind of guy, like you said, no filter.
Right.
I said, why are you lying to me?
Right.
He said, no, really, she's been there since yesterday and she won't leave. I said, I can't believe you're lying to me. If you lie to me, I'm gonna leave.
Right.
You don't have to lie to me. I'm your friend.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I'm not going anywhere because you have a girl at your place. Like you've had all these girls before. And he said, I want it in writing. And so I did. I put we had a contract that I would always be there, would always be his friend. Yeah. And then later, when we decided to become a couple, we wrote an addendum to the contract. And the addendum was that we really did love each other, and we would stay in love. And if we ever got to a place where we were tolerating each other, we would be honest and leave.
Oh.
And that was a part of the addendum. So, yeah, first, I love you. I'll always love you. I'll never leave you. I'll always be your friend.
Yeah.
And there was more to it. He still has that. It's really funny.
The contract.
He does. You should ask him to see it.
Shout out to you, Dad, for still having the contract. That's pretty dope. I think that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And so here's a question, because I feel like you and Dad have been through everything. And one of the things that I really respect about your relationship is, even though you've been through everything, you've been committed to one another. How, like, going through the turmoil and the things that life throws at you, how were you both, and I mean, I'm going to have to ask Dad this too, but how are you able to stay anchored to one another? Like, when everything goes wrong, you know, you got the kids, we're all crying. We're all, you know, just miserable, mean, little bossy, think we know everything kids. Then you got, you know, Dad going through his stuff. You're going through your stuff. You're going to school full time to get your master's. You have a full-time job, trying to make sure we're not homeless. Like, how were you able to stay anchored? Like, what do people need to do to stay more anchored in their relationship?
You know how that song goes. It's the God in me.
Ooh, I love that song.
It's not me. It's not me. And with respect to the question, your dad and I, so our elders know how hard relationships are.
Yeah.
Because relationships are hard, and that's why they make you stand before God and family and friends and make a vow to never leave. Not through sickness, not through bad health, not through rich, not through poor, not through anything. You will stay. You will always stay. You make that vow because they know there's going to come a time when you want to punch him in the face. That's what you said, right?
That's exactly what I said.
And or walk out the door, or say, you know what, I don't need this. This is not for me. But you have to fight through it. One of the things Dad and I had going for us, we both had really strong spiritual bases. We both went to church when we were young, and we both really truly believe in the Word. And the Word does give you guidance. So even though I'm strong, I am a strong woman.
I know it.
And I am also strong-headed and strong mind. And I have my own opinions. I used to say, with the election just passing,
I want to stop it a little bit and kind of backtrack to what she was originally saying when she first met her now husband, but at that time it wasn't. It was somebody that was her friend for quite some time before they solidified their relationship and made it into a couple. The part that really stood out for me is how she saw him for who he was, and he was able to be honest with her about his life and his background and tell her who he was instead of giving her this version that she wanted to hear. And I think so many times in relationships, when you're starting at the beginning, you want to put your best foot forward, and you want to tell somebody everything that you think that they possibly want to hear to get them to be attracted to you. But that's not always the case, because sometimes that's just the fluff. That's not the real you of who you are. And if you're not transparent about, hey, I come with some baggage, but here's the baggage. In that case, he had already had other women in his life. Now, some women might look at this as like, hey, I don't want to go that route. He's already with other women. But I think what some women don't realize is just because that man is used to doing that at this time does not mean that his whole world can change when you step into it. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, because if you meet a man who is used to doing a certain thing and being with women in a certain way and not really aware of boundaries, it's going to take him time to understand this is different. She makes me feel different. I no longer want to do those things. I want to pursue this woman in a way that I might have not have pursued any other woman before. Now, I'm not saying that every woman should just go and think you're going to change a man, because you cannot. You cannot change a man. You can grow together and you can help each other and you can become better versions of yourself. But if a person is stuck in their ways and does not value you and see the potential in you, you're not going to change him. And I think that that's what a lot of women try to do. So they pick the wrong type instead of saying, hey, this guy might come with these different things that I might not like, but let me get to know him first. She said that they got to know each other for 18 months. So quickly anymore, we are rushing into relationships. I know of friends who have become intimate with partners before they even really know who that partner is. And are they really even your partner unless they are partnered with you? If there's somebody that you could talk to, that you can engage and have a conversation. Because if it's just physical, that's just physical. So if you start the physicality so early in the relationship, you don't even get to know who that person is. So I think that that's something that we kind of struggle with, is let me start this and then find out if I like them later. If you would have met this gentleman who had the 8 different women on the side and just said, hey, I'm going to slow down on the intimacy side and I'm just going to get to know you and see if you're somebody of value that I even want to invest my time in, and see if this is something versus what you just tell me up front, because you're just going to tell me what you think I want to hear. So if you get some time, get to know them, see if you even like this person, truly like this person, more than a lot of times people like somebody on a Saturday night but don't want to sit down with them on a Monday morning, can't stand the way they laugh. These are all things that really mold what your relationship's going to be like. So if you slow down, get to know that person, in her case it was 18 months, and in your case it could be longer than what you're used to. Take the time, get to realize, do you like this person? Is this somebody that you could see being in your life with? Maybe it's not long term, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, but you need to be thinking of those things before you're just jumping in these relationships, because so quickly we just jump into them and say, oh, this person's so great for me. And then months down the road, or maybe even years, you're like, this is not the person I met. Well, no, we tell all of our best features. We don't say what's going on with us, what we carry. Some of us might have trauma. Some of us might have baggage that we're not even willing to deal with ourselves. That's a big thing too. Unless you're able to do the work on yourself, you just don't even notice that you have a problem. So if you get into a relationship with somebody who says, hey, I don't have any issues, well, that sounds great. Not saying that you should have a lot, but if you're not saying, hey, I've done some deep diving on myself and I have had to work out some kinks and here's where I'm at. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear honesty. Who are you as a person? What do you think deep inside? What do you feel deep inside? I think so many times we just rush to the physicalness that we don't really get to know who the person is, which that is not going to ever turn out the best that it can in the future for you. Your foundation starts from the time that you meet a person. It does. If you are trying to start a foundation, it could just be the friendship foundation, liking that person, being able to communicate with that person, telling that person how you feel. Those are all stepping stones to making a larger commitment to somebody in the end. So when it is time to make a commitment, and then you get together and then you're making the commitment, as she's talking about saying the vows, that is a commitment before God, before your friends, more importantly, before God, that you're committing to this person. I am going to be committed to you, whether it looks good, whether it's through sickness, whether it's through health. And unconditional love. Unconditional love is something that I have learned with my husband in a time when we were struggling and we had separated. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity because we were able to really work on ourselves and figure out what we needed to get back together. And I always tell him, to this day, we have been married now, gosh, what year are we in? Almost 14 years. We are so thankful for that separation because it allowed us to see each other for who we really were by working on ourselves and learning what unconditional love was. And it's not like we didn't see each other at the beginning because we took our time. There's just a part that when you're really tested, when you really find out who your partner is, and when you've been honest with them and you've had conversations that most people are even afraid to have with themselves, now you're working on a good foundation. Now you're going to be able to weather the storm. Because if you don't work on your foundation, you are just going to fold in the face of any type of adversity. So I like the way this conversation's going. I'm looking forward to what else she has to say, because so many times I think these conversations aren't had when they should be, because this is the most important part of a relationship.
I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm opinionated.
Period.
And this is how I feel. But even with that, my strength, and I know how strong I am,
Mm-hmm.
the word calls me to yield to my husband. The word tells me how to be a good woman. And a good woman, one of the things she does is get up early in the morning to go to the market and make a way for her family. Her behavior makes the world see her husband as an honorable man, right? So the Bible tells you.
That's exactly what she's saying.
The Bible tells you what to do, and it also tells you in Corinthians to love.
Yeah.
And what does love mean? Yeah. But the Bible also speaks to a man. And so does the Quran. The Quran says that your wife is your counsel. And so you should listen, and in the Bible, it says that a man should love his wife as Christ loved the church. So if you're both in that space where you can love one another, then no matter what comes, no matter what darts or torpedoes of life, you stand through it together. And you're going to come out the other side, and it's going to be better.
I don't know why I'm so emotional, but I feel like because I've seen it, maybe it's because we can only relate to what we've experienced. And so I've experienced seeing you and Dad. And one of the things I love when you say the darts are the torpedoes, and for those of you that are listening or watching, one of the things that you've always said is, life is going to come and it's going to give you torpedoes. And what that means is it's going to feel like you got hit with a torpedo in your chest, and it will knock the air out of you. And surely you'll question God of, am I going to make it through this? And when you get through it, because we get through it, we didn't die. When you get through it, you get better at either dodging those torpedoes, but over time, the torpedo turns into a dart. Like that same problem that you had 10 years ago, I'm sure you could laugh about now. And I feel like it's analogies like that I really hold on to, because there were times where I was crying myself to sleep at night. There were times where I was like, surely this is for the wrong household. There were times where I was like, Mom, what do I do? That now we laugh about. and they really have become darts. Like, those are annoying. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I got hit, but it's like they bounce off you, it doesn't, or it might stick you a little bit. Okay, great. Like, I'm fine. It's not a torpedo. And so, I think when you do take relationships that way, but then again, that goes back to the fact that I think this generation is weak. They don't have a staying power inside of to get through the torpedo, to get through the thing that hurts, to get through the resentment or the lacking communication or the feeling misunderstood or not being heard or whatever it may be. People don't even know how to effectively communicate their what's missing or what they may need or how they want to feel, and so now they just quit. What would you say for the young people that quit on everything? How do you even, I don't even feel like people want to get married anymore.
No, I think that most people want that intimate relationship, whether they want to admit it or not.
I agree.
And, I used to say to all of my children who blame me for being the worst mom ever and never understanding or hearing what they had to say, that's all fine and good. I'm going to be me, and you're going to take away what I've given you, and you're going to make the world better. But at some point, and I'd say 22, at 22, the warranty for my parenting expires.
Oh.
And now, if you're all messed up because of me, that's your problem. You better go get therapy. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
Go get therapy and make yourself a better person, since I couldn't do it for you. And that's what everyone needs to do. I've also, one of the analogies, I talk about being human, that we're all born human. And I talked about being born a woman, and we're all born female. But what makes us different? We strive to be a higher being. So we become human beings and not just human. So when you get a certain age, it's time to grow up and become a human being, which means you need to do the work. You have to, like the critical thought. You have to pick up a book, and not just listen to other people's opinion, but actually do the work and make yourself a better person. And when you're a better person, then you deserve that better person. Everybody wants stuff easy. And if your parents did not give you what you needed to understand that nothing good comes easy, then you better learn it yourself.
That's good. That's really good. Somebody said on here, what is your mom's best advice on a successful marriage? Sorry. That's hard. I believe in tradition. That's hard because it depends on where the individuals are. I'd like to believe that if my husband wasn't as, he was different. We saw things different. We still see things differently. But one of the things in the beginning, child rearing, he would tell me that I talk too much. You talk, and the kids aren't learning anything. They're going to grow up and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And I would hear him and respect him still. And then when he wasn't as passionate, I would remind him that it's okay for me to be different. And please just accept that I have a way of looking at things. I love the way you do things, and maybe I don't, but I accept them. And I need you to do the same for me. So for a relationship, if the love is there and the chemistry, which is important too, then fight. And fight starts with maybe going to couples counseling, so that each person can hear someone else's reality, because our perception is our reality, right? Yeah. And so you have to really be willing to put in the work. Did you and Dad ever do couples counseling? No. How did you get through the fights? I know one thing that you've always said to me is, Sarah, choose your battles. And because and one of the analogies that you tell me, and this might be, you know, for those that are listening or watching, one of the things you used to say, because I am a fixer. I've always been a fixer. And you used to tell me, when you try to fix every problem at once, it's like having braces. You have to tighten them a little bit at a time. Okay, we have this problem, let's fix that problem. Oh, now that we're done with that problem, let's do this one. So a little bit of time. But if you try to fix everything at once, or if you try to change everything at once, you tighten the braces as tight that they could go, you'll bust the teeth out of their mouth.
Yes.
So that is the relationship. If you are constantly trying to fix, you break the relationship down, right? Because it's like you're not taking, you know, it takes time to learn a person, to learn compromise, to learn who you're even dealing with.
Yes.
And that person is always changing in a relationship. How did you and Dad get through the things you had to fix?
Well, sometimes we'd agree to disagree.
That's hard.
Yeah, but sometimes we do that. Sometimes we just compromise. So there were some times when I really disagreed, but there wasn't room in the decision to walk away with your still convicted the way you felt. And in those times, because I'm the wife, I would yield.
So you feel like the man should have the final say so in the house? I do. You could say it. I've said it.
Well, hopefully you have a good man, and then yes.
That's the caveat. He's got to have leadership.
Yes.
Because he can't just yield to anybody. Because
Right.
some people will have you yielding, stopping on train tracks, and then you get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah. But if you really, I mean, first thing, wait. Wait at least 6 months. Know who you're marrying before you say you're going to marry them.
Be their friend.
Yes.
And by wait, what does wait mean?
Well, for me, it took 18 months.
But I want you to be specific so the people at home can hear what you're saying. What does wait mean?
Wait for a woman, because physical intimacy is I think, when you're young, deeper for a woman than it is for a man.
Of course.
Don't be physically intimate with a man until...
I'm going to pause it right there, because one thing that I want women to know so much is that you really do hold the cards. You really do. You have so much power in who you are, and you do not need to give yourself to somebody who does not deserve you, who does not value you, who does not appreciate you, and who will not give you the time to get to know you. And I remember what it was like when I was young. You meet somebody, your emotions are high, you think, oh, I'm going to like this person, but you just need to take some time. And if a man will only be with you because of the physicalness, he will only be with you because of the physicalness. He can get that from anywhere. So if you don't give him a reason, or if you don't set up a boundary, that's how he's going to look at you in that way. And he's going to revere you in that way as, okay, well, that was pretty easy to get, easy come, easy go. It wasn't a challenge. We slept together within the first week, maybe the first night, maybe the first couple weeks. We have yet to even have any type of conversations or interactions outside of the home, because that's very common too. I know that a lot of times people will start to interact with each other, but it's only in the home or it's only on the weekends. Set your boundaries. And if that person doesn't realize what you're doing, or if they only want to see you at those times, don't go with them. You are worth more. You are of more value. Same thing with men. If a woman only wants to be with you because what you can give her, or maybe she just wants to sleep with you on the first time, don't. Put up a wall. It's going to be hard on both parts because we're very physical people. Lust is a real thing. It comes in at the beginning of any type of relationship, especially when you're attracted to a person. But if you can put that on the back burner and just do yourself a favor of getting to know that other person, you will set yourself up for a better future, whether it's with that person or without that person, because you need to put yourself first. So many times we put the opposite sex, our partner, whoever your partner is, it could be the same sex partner, it does not matter, but we put them first before us. And when it all is done, it's always going to be you. Even in your marriage in the future, you still have to put yourself first so that you can be there for your partner, so that you can give yourself the best version of yourself. So when it comes to how quick should I become intimate with a person, you need to wait. You need to wait. You need to get in their head before you get in their bed. And that is really the most important thing, because everybody deserves a partner who understands them, appreciates them. And then once you get into their head, when you get into bed, the intimacy is just on a different level because you've connected with the minds. The body connects, but it's different. This is the organ that is going to produce the most for you when it comes to the bed, is your brain. You want to use that first before you use anything else to become physical.
Till you're ready to make a commitment in life.
Do you think commitment means marriage, or does commitment mean relationship? Does commitment mean exclusive? What does commitment mean to you in this day and age? Or has it changed?
No, I don't think it's changed.
Okay.
I think that if you allow it, if you allow someone to say, "Oh yeah, that's different now," because it suits their own needs.
Ooh.
It doesn't change the fact that it doesn't change the fact. You know what my grandfather used to say? Oh, my grandfather had so many wonderful things. He'd tell me men and women are from a different planet. Somebody must have stolen that from him, because this is what he said years and years and years ago. He said, and we spend our whole lives trying to change one another when we don't even realize that we're a different species. We'll never be like each other. We just have to accept each other. So find someone that you can accept. And that's where I think that whole 70-30 or 80-20, make a list of all the things you like about this person and the list of what you don't like. And if the list of don't likes is longer than the likes, that's not the person for you. But he also said that, men are driven by hormones, which is almost like a sickness, he would say. Hormones will make men crazy, he said. You can't give in, because why buy the cow if you can get the milk free? I used to think, what a horrible thing to say. But he'd say that, that why would anyone marry you if you'll be their wife or you'll act as a wife
without the commitment. I agree with that. And you know what? I just so strongly agree, because I do feel, honestly, I feel like do I have to say this in a clean way? Can I just say it directly?
Say the thing, fine. No, I tell you this all the time.
I feel like for women that are overly promiscuous, for 304s or hoes as they call them in this day and age, I feel like the amount of hoes is rising. The amount of easily accessible, highly promiscuous women is at an all-time high, and they're destroying the sexual market value. And what I mean by that is, if the other women are sleeping with men for nothing but a dinner or some frozen yogurt or a FaceTime call, then for women that try to hold out to say, you know what, I really want to get to know you. Do I even like you? Could I even be your friend before? Like, if I like you, loving you is easier. So if I don't even know if I like you yet, why should I want to give you my body?
Right.
So for me, I agree in the sense where we should be taking our time to get to know a person. And also, this is another thing, ladies, we have to remember, if we sleep with every person that is interested in us, we'll be worn out and raggedy. That's just the truth of the matter. And now, depending on the people that you are sleeping with, you have to remember, for every person that you sleep with in that circle, you cancel out the rest of the circle, because no man is gonna wife you when his boy just smashed you. Like that's not realistic. So if you're not mindful of the people that you're even being intimate with, and you're just out here living a la-di-da life, I have to say this, because I was having a conversation with some men the other day, and Athena and Anissa were here, and we were talking about, how long does it take for the term hoe to get off you? Like, how long do you have to be reborn and reformed and brand new before a man will say, oh, okay, I don't care as much about your past? You know what the men said in the circle?
It never goes away.
You gotta move.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have kids in that city and you've just been a hoe and you know that you can't get away, you're literally disqualifying yourself from a higher quality, higher caliber, higher value, higher earning man. Because for whatever reason you feel guilty. So this is my question to you, Mom, because I feel like I was having this conversation with one of my girls the other day, and I was like, I'm abstinent right now until I'm not. And I've been abstinent and I'm dating, right? I'm getting to know people. And one of the things that she was saying was, you always set that from the beginning. I'm not saying I'm celibate because I'm not making a commitment to God. The second that it changes, I can't be like, oh God, celibacy out the window. No, I'm abstinent until I'm not, And me and my mom, we talk about everything. So this is, if you guys are like, why is she saying this in front of her mom? Because we talk about literally everything. But I say that to say that she was saying, well, the thing is, I feel guilty. Like, I feel guilty if I don't sleep with that person. In my mind, I don't understand. Like, I literally told her, I was like, my brain can't compute that. Like, why would you? I don't understand where guilt comes in because they did something nice for you. I don't understand. But if you're just learning one another, if you're enjoying one another, why do I owe you my body?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have an answer for that?
I've been like that before.
Can you give her the mic real quick?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we can hear you. Go ahead.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Uh-huh.
Dana's in the building, y'all. Hi, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I've definitely been like that before. That probably happened to me probably twice in my life where I felt bad because I didn't have sex.
But did you feel like, have you ever been in a place where you allowed the guilt to make you have sex? Like, you're not having sex because you genuinely want to sleep with this.
Not.
Well, then
I walked out and go, damn, I feel bad. She ain't getting this.
Well, then that's different.
Yeah.
But I want to know when you're guilted into doing it.
Like, I feel like you're guilted into sex.
Like, where you feel like this, we had a great time, we've gone on a few nice dates, they've done their job at planning things, and I feel like I should sleep with him now.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of women who feel like that.
And then they do.
And they do it, and they end up regretting it after.
My brain can't. Where does the guilt come from?
Perspective.
Okay.
I may be totally wrong about this, but maybe they feel like they haven't given anything to the man of value other than their body. Like, they don't feel like they have given the man anything for him to value, for him to not want to have sex with him.
No, because a friend that I was talking to is very valuable.
I'm not saying that they're not valuable, but in their mind, they haven't given anything to that specific person at that moment.
But what do you owe that person anyway?
I don't agree with you're right. I don't agree, but I'm saying maybe that's how they're thinking. That's how they're.
I think some of the guilt comes from, we have made it to where it's almost transactional, a quid pro quo, like, you give me something, I'll give you something. And in the back of your head, you're thinking, well, he's taking me on these dates, he's bought this for me, he's showing his interest in a way. Just because he's doing all of those things, that does not equate intimacy. That does not mean that you need to give intimacy then to that person. But I think we are kind of programmed to, well, look, he did all of this stuff, so then I'm going to give this, not realizing that your physical body is much more than any materialistic thing that you can get. It's because it's not just your body, it's your mind, it's everything. I remember growing up as in my teens, and my dad would say, your body's your temple. You don't want to just give it to anybody. And I remember listening to that when I was, growing up and thinking of that. And so many times we don't put the high value on ourselves that we should. So then we just met somebody and we're going on dates and we're like, oh, I feel good. This seems right. No, and you should not feel guilty about that. And if a person makes you feel guilty at all, or doesn't say, no, you shouldn't feel guilty about that, I'm enjoying this time with you, that would give you signs that person cares about you. But if they make you feel guilty, that's not the right person. Because anybody, she's referring to these 304s, there's plenty of 304s that they can just go and get at any point, that there is no challenge, there is no adversity, there is no pushback. So don't ever make yourself feel guilty because you feel like you have to give something because they're giving something. You don't have to give anything except for a great conversation. Get to know them. Now, if you feel like this person is opening up to me, give them who you are as a person. Talk to them about yourself before you become physical. But I can see why women might feel guilty because they need to do it because it's so easy these days. So many women are talking about, how many TikToks have we seen where women are talking about, he flew me out and I either slept with him, or the man was like, you didn't think that because I flew you out that I wasn't going to want to. So it's like programmed in the back of our mind. So a person might feel guilty, but you have to get that brainwash out of your head. You have to get that out of your head.
They're thinking like maybe they feel like they haven't reciprocated the amount of value of what they've received from that person, so they feel like the next best thing, the most valuable thing I have is my body type. It's a subconscious thing, but it's like they know that it's valuable, and they maybe don't feel like they haven't given as much value as they received. Because what other reason? Like, I don't understand that. Like what? Like what? Like what? Like, I genuinely
Kenny, what's your thought?
I'm off this one right now.
He said he off this one right now.
No, I'm really, like, I was literally I'm reading a new book because one of the things, and I've told you this 1,000 times, I've been saying this for years, in dating, now I'm like a stray cat. And what I mean by that is, yes, inside of dating, I am a stray cat. If you try to force me to come in the house, you will never see me again. But if you allow me to be like, oh, it's safe here. Oh, I'm going to go back and check it out. Oh, I'll rub my body on your leg. Oh, okay, I trust you. Then all of a sudden I turn into a house cat. And now it's like, I love this person. And I'll do the little knead on the chest. And, I want to snuggle and do all those things. But when I want my time, I need my time. You know what I mean? I am very much a stray cat. And I say that to say, my friend, I was having a conversation with my friend, and I was like, and she's like, you sound like this book. You need to read this book. Have you ever heard this before? And I have to tell you guys the book because I feel like it's a great read for women that are really trying to take their power inside of this situation. There's a few things that I disagree with, but it's called The Wisdom of the Pea. Yeah. And she was like, there's so many things that you say that are in this book. I'm like, I need to write a book. This is just ridiculous.
You need to write a book.
I need to write a book.
You did write a book.
I did. It's an ebook on how to be more feminine, but I need a real tangible book.
Yeah, I want to sit there because I like real books.
Yeah. Yes. But I say that to say, she bought my ebook. Of course, my mom supported my book. But I say that to say that I don't understand why anyone should feel entitled to my body.
I think it has everything to do with society, and a lot of men have learned to manipulate the feelings of girls from the time they're teenagers to make you think that, first of all, this is how you can show me that you care for me, that you love me, right? And then girls, they want to be loved, and then they find themselves in that bad place. So that's a lesson